All right. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I had one of those mornings. All right. Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out, we stand up. I appreciate you guys. Okay, cool. Facebook is still there. Make sure it didn't disappear. All right. Blessings, Lisa. Blessings. Thank you for rocking with us and hanging with us. Let's see. My computer is moving a little slow, but it's all good in the hood. All right. So thank you guys for another edition. And all right, there we go. All right, so today we're talking about fatherhood. Um, with gotta fix it. All right. Whew. One of them days, one of them mornings. Today we talk about fatherhood. We appreciate you guys rocking with us and hanging with us. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. And all that, and then some, and a bag of chips. So we appreciate you guys with us this morning, and that's it. Like I said, today we talk about fatherhood and our journey, or just my journey, because I'm waiting for my brothers to come through. So hang tight, hold on. We appreciate you. Listen, share, tag another dad to get in this conversation. All right, be right back. I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
morning. Good morning.
Good
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to another edition of
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody?
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Doo-doo. All right. So today we're talking about fatherhood, the journey, what it means, um, based on kind of how our conversation ended yesterday, um, and the whole Kirk Franklin situation. So let's see. Whew. You ever have one of them mornings that it just don't go right? It just don't. Things were kind of flowing. Then the last minute, yeah. So so make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. So today we're talking about fatherhood, the journey. What up? Oh, good morning to you, sir. And all my podcast people, I appreciate you rocking and listening, and staying up on the podcast and rating and reviewing and all that, and then some. So we definitely appreciate that. Good morning, Yvonne. Great morning to you. So when it comes to fatherhood, it is, to me, just starting out is is a surprise and a daunting task. Look, it's Pastor McCory in the building. Great morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Um,
Morning, everybody.
oh, hold on. You turn me up. All right. Say something.
Oh,
Yeah, it sounded. Oh, wait. All right. Um, so yeah, for me, it's been interesting. I think each one of us have our own story. I doubt if anybody's story is similar in any form, shape, and nature, at the journey of fatherhood. Good morning. Good morning. Um, So it's I think everyone's story unique, no matter how similar families may look. Everybody's story as a father has been different, because we have different personalities. How we deal with with situations are different, based on who we are, how we grew up, and how we were raised. In our own households. It's kind of what we deal with, and then of course gradually, you know, some things modify. You realize some things work, some things don't work. What you've learned in the past may not be, well, I won't say as relevant, but just the effect, the effectiveness of it is like, you know what, I'm gonna tweak it a little bit, I'm gonna change it. because some things aren't getting, they don't get the impact that you're looking for. So for myself, becoming a father, the first, it's always, I think, at least the first child is just, it's a whole new world. Because it's going from a level of responsibility for maybe your spouse if you're married already, or hardly anybody, to someone that totally dependent upon you. Not only dependent, in who you are, but you be an example. What's up, Cole? Good morning. Um, he said he's so silly. Um, so it's that portion that that begin to change your mindset. I think you know having kids matures you, it grows you, it gives you a different perspective on life, a lot of self reflection. I think, I feel like a child matures you faster than like anything else in the world. Like you can be given positions and, money and stuff, but when it comes to having a kid, it's like, I think it totally changes. It can change you. It changes you. No, it can. It does. I feel anyway. It definitely changes you. What's up, Dwayne? In the
What's
building.
going on, fellas?
Um, so yeah, it's been an amazing journey. But I want my brothers to kind of share their experience, especially the first up until their last, things that they learned, you know, some of their journey into fatherhood as well. Dwayne, you want to share with us, my friend? Good morning.
Ooh, what's going on, man?
You
Fatherhood
gotta hang it.
is. Can you hear
That's a
me?
new one. Gotta hang it like the
Yeah,
boom mic.
fatherhood is the scariest, most important, um, most consequential, one of the most consequential duties that you can have. Becoming a father, man. When I first became a father, I thought I was ready for the world. And I thought that I was going to do every single thing that my daddy never did. And I thought that, let's see, because my pops wasn't around. So the thing that I told myself when I became a father was my daddy wasn't here for this. He wasn't there for that. He didn't do this. So I said, yeah, you know what? I can complain about my dad and say how much he didn't teach me and what he wasn't for me. But I said to myself at the same time, I'm not going to be that because I know what it felt like, yada, yada, yada. And I know, and I'm not saying yada, yada, yada because it's not important. But what I grew to realize was you're only as effective as your healing and your wholeness allows you to be. Because I was a good person, but I was still broken. So for me, initially, I was a great father. And then I realized that fatherhood to the unsuspecting mind is only as great as you are in your personal mental wholeness, your personal spiritual wholeness, and relational wholeness. And I was a great father until I got a divorce. And when I got a divorce, what I realized is the hurt and pain that I pushed to the side and I hid and I tried to work through but didn't get deliverance or wholeness from, those things started showing up in my life. And I all of a sudden started to realize some of the reasons why my father wasn't as good of a father as he could have been. And I had to live through those things myself. And and I know I've caused hurt and pain in my children's life. And I've made adjustments and I'm still making adjustments. So what I realize, fatherhood is an evolving journey and it evolves with you.
Right.
When you begin to love yourself and understand who you are, the purpose that you have, and the impact that you bring to this life, I began to realize that, hey, I got to make adjustments every day. And that scripture in the Bible that says children are the heritage of the Lord. And then it goes on to say that blessed is the man who has his quiver full, because a child is like an arrow in the hand of a skilled bowman. I realized that I wasn't that skilled of a bowman. And like everything else, to become skilled at something, you have to hone that skill. And now I try to be as intentional as possible, because my mom used to say that I got you for 18 years and then I got to give you to the world, so I can't mess this up. But the reality of that is it goes way beyond that, because what I am and who I am in my children's life, that's the foundation of who they become. And that's the foundation of what my legacy becomes, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. What about you, Pastor? In beginning your journey as a father, some of the things you've encountered from beginning to your last, or the last child you had. Maybe you have others that's coming. Never know. Won't be closing the book on something that you guys been talking about. Like, nah, we
Watch
got
out
one
now.
more.
Watch out now.
I don't know. So
Let's start over again, sir.
right.
That look. There it is.
I can't. It's hard for me to. It's hard to put it into words because the experience has been so broad.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I feel like I would be doing my experience a disservice to try to explain fatherhood.
Mm.
For me, I heard Dwayne say it's wonderful, but it's also scary. It's terrifying to have a life that you and someone have produced, and you're totally responsible for their living, breathing, walking, talking experience, right? It's cool to talk about it, but fatherhood ain't cool because it's not a trend. It's not a fad. It's something that begins with the birth of a child, and you take that title to the grave. I think somebody just put in there, it's Okini Reed, it's continuous learning. I didn't, to Dwayne's point, I didn't know myself. And children are a validation of how little you know of yourself. I learned a lot about myself through my children. I heard Dwayne talk about, your father not being what his dad was. I learned that if I spend my time trying not to be who he was, then I'm not giving myself time to be who I'm supposed to be, who I was designed to be. So that was confusing for me, but I had to learn that lesson. Don't worry about who he was or who he wasn't. Be who you've been called and purposed to be. And I'm not, everybody's experience is different. I learned that because I didn't have a father growing up. I came up in a single parent household. So my focus was to never, ever be away from my children, to always be there. Right. And I would do anything to always be there. But doing anything to always be there caused me to mess up in other areas. Because I was so focused on trying to not be my father.
Right.
And I found out sometimes I was there when I probably was better off doing something else.
Wow.
Meaning let go.
Right.
Because you're proving something that you can only walk out. Right. You can't prove it in a moment. It's a walking out over life is what it is. That's what it is for me. Again, I've learned my greatest lessons through my children. I found out, and again, I can speak from the perspective of having adult children and having younger children. I found out that, it's a journey, a lifestyle of learning. Absolutely, Mother. Fatherhood is being open and not closed.
Right.
Right. I think one of the best lessons is recognizing that you have to be open because your children are going to want to talk about any and everything. And if
Right.
you're not open, you will miss something.
Right.
I think that's
Right.
something, it used to be a term. I think I shared this story with someone. I was on a radio station. I got invited to this radio station and I talked about the level of communication, how critical communication was with the children, and then being able to
Right.
express themselves. And the owner of the radio station called in while we were live on the radio and said, nope, I don't agree. Children are seen and not heard.
Mm.
And I said, your future will include someone with a psychological disorder
Right.
if you think the children are seen and not heard,
Right.
because
Right.
that's what it used to be.
Right. Right.
And that had to change. And I learned,
Right.
no, you can't live a life children are seen and not heard. You better let your children talk, let them express
Yes.
themselves.
Yeah.
If they're not doing it with you, they're going to do it. It's going to come out somewhere, some kind of
Right.
way.
Right.
So fatherhood is openness.
Yeah.
It's openness.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I found this. I don't know who. I can't remember who it was. Somebody had this acronym. He said that fatherhood is love, life's only valid expression
Wow.
is fatherhood. Life's
Nice.
only valid expression, love.
Wow. Let's see. Cole said he had a couple comments. Cole said, I've heard that as a motivation for many fathers, Dwayne. In fact, my father said he was going to parent me in a way my grandfather didn't rear him. True. I think a lot of times people are reaching back or trying to correct the way they grew up. And then, like you said, I think you miss out, because you're unique, you're different, and you're missing out. Your child is unique. Your child is not you. So you might miss some things because you're just trying to be, fill in the voids that you had. And Nokini said, it's sad that most with no fathers in their life try to not be like a person who was never there. Yeah. Like Pastor was saying.
And that's crazy because I don't think we ever really think of it that we're trying to bring a positive out of a bad situation.
Right.
But we don't realize that positive that we're trying is a stab in the dark.
Right.
and I say that because we know how it feels to not have somebody at a football game. Right. We know how it feels to not have that person in the classroom or have a parent teacher conference or senior night or whatever the case. We know how that feels.
Right.
But outside of knowing that feeling, it's a stab in the dark trying to be somebody, trying not to be who wasn't there.
Right.
Right. And for me, it was a rude awakening, right? Because I thought my father was a horrible person. I hated, like, I say this now because I don't hate he's dead and gone now, but at the time I thought that I hated my father.
Okay.
Until his funeral. Well, not even until his funeral, because we mended a lot of bridges about a year before he died.
Wow.
And I was 30, and my middle daughter, Erin, who's named after me because I thought she was going to be the last one, and I'm named after my pops. He came to my house. I had moved to South Carolina. I was working at Fort Bragg. And I had a conversation with him. I was like, look, Pop, I don't hate you no more. I was like, I thought I did. But I was like, it's cool. I'm grown. I got children now. I was like, you can't be a father like the early stages were. But I was like, we can have a relationship and you do have grandchildren. I was like, just get to know them. And he looked at me. He started crying.
Wow.
And this first time, wow, okay. This is the first time me and my pops had this kind of conversation, and he looked at me and he cried and he was like, you've done so well. And he was like, I wanted to be around and I didn't know how to be around. And at the time I didn't know how to believe him, but I understand now.
Right.
But what he did do is for that time that I lived in South Carolina, my daughters saw him every day or almost every day.
Right.
And he spent time, he held my daughter and he cried and he was like, "You're named after me. Oh my
What's
God,
up,
you're so
Jerry?
beautiful." And you saw I saw the love. But prior to that moment, I used to say that if my daddy died, I
Mhm.
wouldn't shed a single tear.
Mm.
And
Mm.
and the resentment came from, I lived in a town of 7,800 people, 7,800 people, which is a small town. And he
It's your
was in a
fault, Terry.
long-term he was in a long-term relationship with one of my classmates' mother.
Right.
So I had a classmate who saw my daddy every single day,
Mm.
and I didn't see him. So I grew to resent him.
Right.
And at his funeral, there were so many people. I'm not talking about 10, 15, 20. I'm talking about like 80, 90, 100 people who, man, your father had the biggest heart. When I needed this, when I couldn't do this, he came and he did this for me.
Right.
Or your
Right.
daddy would do this. He would bring this. He looked out for this person. And it completely changed the narrative of the way I saw, because I was like, this many people can't be wrong.
Right. Right. Right.
But at the same time, it didn't make my feelings invalid. It just
Right.
showed me that there's levels to life and to fatherhood. And I was old enough to understand it at the time.
Right.
Pastor said something earlier, which I don't think my mother understood, but I understand now. So it's part of my focus. He was talking about being open. He was like, being a father is about being open.
Right.
Being transparent and truthful is a huge part of parenthood, but fatherhood especially, because I look back at it and I haven't had these conversations yet,
Mhm.
but with my older daughters who live in other states, who I don't have a chance to be with every single day, like Bella and Ella, Harrison and Haley,
Right.
I sit and I think, I'm like, if I'm not honest with my kids
Right.
about what life is really like, because a lot of us, we come from a place of I'm gonna shelter my kids from all the hurt I've ever known.
Right.
And I'm telling you, if you are one of those people, what you're doing is setting your child up to go through traumatic experiences that you've gone through because you're trying to protect them. My
And
children need
actually,
to
I think
know.
you're setting yourself up because you can't shield them from it. I mean,
You
you can
can't.
only try to mitigate the impact, but you can't stop bad things from happening.
You can't.
So
And,
trying to do that only takes away from you
Mm.
and confuses your child.
and I never
Right.
even thought about it that way, Pastor. About not, it's hurting me, because
Yeah.
what I realize is, if my mom, like my mom, never said anything bad.
Right.
She said some good things, but she didn't talk a lot.
Okay.
But if my mom if she would have told me why her and my father didn't work out, what went on, I
Okay,
wouldn't
okay.
think that he was just a bad person. I was like, you know what? He's broke too. It'll
Gotcha.
make sense. Okay, he can't love me this way because he still don't know how to love himself. Really, he
So,
still
You know
he became an
what's amazing
alcoholic.
about that is I learned, I went through that. What happened? Why didn't you ever talk about it?
Right. Right. Right.
But what mother wants to share their breakup with
Right.
their children?
Right.
It's a hard thing.
Right.
It's almost impossible
Right.
because it doesn't. The thing is, it won't matter what she said. You wouldn't have understood.
Well, yeah.
You're right.
Right.
I guess my point is this. Like,
But here's the thing. I
Okay.
want to. What I learned is how painful it is. I mean, and this is the lesson as a father. What I learned is how much pain as men we can inflict on our women.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
That's what I learned. And
Right.
and all those questions about, why didn't you tell me? She didn't tell you because she was busy trying to raise you.
Mm.
Right.
Okay.
My mother had to do what was, because she was busy trying to make sure she had food on the table because there was no man bringing home bacon.
right.
Right. So the reality is, ain't nobody got time to be talking emotions with you when I got to get up and I got to go to work and you got to eat and I got to do this and I got to do that. You're not my counselor. I got to be your mother. I got to be your counselor. I got to be there for you.
Right.
So I don't have time to expose. And the reality is, I don't even want to begin trying to expose something because mothers don't get anything back from your child at an early age by trying to share with you what they went through with the father.
Right.
I got you.
Right. So sometimes silence is golden if you don't have a real outlet, because we didn't, when we was growing up, we didn't have, our mothers weren't going to counseling.
Right.
It's busy trying to work. Right.
Right.
And so what good would it, and I'm saying this is just one man's perspective because I grew up in a single parent household,
right?
And I realized, I don't know about you, but me and my brothers was into any and everything growing up. She was busy trying to keep up with us. Right. She didn't have time to be trying to explain what was going on with her.
Right. Right.
And that makes sense. Believe me, it makes sense because single parent home, and I'm are you the youngest, or you're the baby too, right? Okay. So I'm the baby of 11, and I get it, because trying to understand what my mom went through, I know I can't completely. Well, maybe a little more now, but then I wasn't ready for that. But there's also this thing for current parents: when you know better, you do better. And what I mean by that, and I'm not knocking what single mothers have done amazing jobs at for decades and centuries, maybe, not maybe, probably, because my mom is one of the most important people ever in my life, bar none, hands down, not even a discussion. But I'm looking at my situation now. So I'll briefly explain what I mean. When I got married the first time, and I had children, and the relationship didn't work, after that, I had to deal with bitterness. And the bitterness didn't necessarily, I was part of the problem, but I wasn't the only part of the problem. I wasn't even the start of the problem. I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. But if I'm working and I'm taking care of my business, and I just happen to be 8,000 miles away doing my job, taking care of my family, and some things happened that didn't revolve around my actions, and it leads to us breaking up.
Right.
Now we're separated. Now my children are in one state and I'm in another state. And the bitterness causes you not to let me talk to my children because of time zone differences. Oh, they're in bed now. And I'm not making this right. But at the time, it was, once you've tried and you've tried and you've tried and you've cried and you cried and you still can't win.
Okay.
And then your children start to look at you like, you don't care about me. Not knowing how many times I tried to bridge that gap. The money at the time wasn't an issue because I didn't need a court to tell me to take care of my children.
Right.
I was sending $1,000 every 2 weeks, but I couldn't talk to my children every day.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's like those, my kids not knowing why we didn't work could easily construe that as you just didn't care enough.
Right.
And what it was I tried.
Right.
Yeah.
I tried often.
Right.
And my heart was broken often. And it got to the point where it literally, for me, and some people may consider this a cop-out, and if you haven't been there before and you don't know the feeling, I would suggest you not speak on this, about what I'm about to say. When you've done everything you can, well, maybe it's not even everything you can, but when you've done a significant amount, only to be slapped around, to have a court tell you A, B, or C, this can't happen, or yeah, you can get them every other summer. And then you finally get to the point where my heart breaks every time I revisit this, and I'm going to be completely torn apart unless I put myself in a position to where I'm torn apart mentally because I gotta now appease you to be able to say, hey, babies, I love you, what you got going on in life. It gets easier to be out of sight, out of mind. And that's not healthy either. And I'm not justifying that being healthy, but what I'm saying is it gave me and my oldest daughter, we have conversations, and I still haven't had this conversation with her.
Right.
But she felt a certain way about me.
Right.
And that way that she felt about me wasn't, it was a one-sided light. And she didn't understand the whole story. All she knows is, as a 6-year-old kid that loves her daddy, daddy's not here.
Right.
She didn't realize that daddy wasn't here because mom and dad went through some things in a relationship and they both were young. And then there was bitterness involved. And she's starting to see some of those things because I through conversation. But this is the reason why I say one of the things we have to do is be open, because if we're not open, now we're putting our children in a position. Now, if you were in a relationship where you don't have this isn't the makeup of your relationship, then you can't understand me. But if you have gone through this is one of the things that literally will have your daughters broken and having daddy issues and messing with the first man that comes along that gives her a little bit of attention because she doesn't know the whole story of how you and daddy ended up the way you did.
I mean, I get what you're saying, because, you know, with separation, sometimes there's disputes with your ex and trying to rebuild that relationship. And when you're not in the household, time flies a little differently. And what I mean by that, you know, for when you have no kids in your life, you know, your day goes a little different, so it can go faster, and a week could pass, you know, and, you know, you lose that time, because me and Sam was separated like that. But, you know, for myself and my testimony, you know, I always made sure that I was in their life enough, you know, and what I mean by that is at least either once a week, twice a week, you know, like they're seeing me. I stayed in contact. You know, me and Sam had a good relationship. So let me throw that out there. Mm-hmm. You know, our relationship wasn't toxic or, you know, rough. You know, we had our moments, but it just we had our times, you know, and but we never intertwined it with the kids. You know, like when I had the time off, she send them. You know, it was never that kind of issue. But yeah, I'm waiting for them to ask. But you know, when they throw that, you just sit and wait. But so MV says when we used to visit my dad, he'd get my daughter from my bed and take her in the room with him. He'd make sure she had a bottle and clean diaper. He and I had a different relationship than what I had with my mom. So to see him show that love for my daughter was priceless. Okay.
Yeah, he was really doing for your daughter the things that he would love to do with you.
Right.
You know, that's the thing. And I get that. I completely understand that.
Right.
And I completely understand Dwayne's story. I mean, I have that as a chapter in my life, you know.
Right.
And again, this is, you know, fatherhood is from birth to the grave. Once you become a father, you are a father through the grave.
Right.
It's never over. And it really doesn't matter what you're doing or what you're not doing. You're still a father, whether you're in the house, out of the house,
right.
Prison. It really just, and that's the thing that most people don't understand, is that it doesn't matter what state your life is in, you're still a father. And what I've learned is there is no one on God's green earth that can stop you from being a father. That's what I learned. No one can stop you from being a father. God didn't make that person.
Right.
Okay. That's the first thing you got to learn in your head.
Right.
No one can stop you. There's God did not create the person that could stop you from being a father.
Right.
Well, he did. The only person that could stop you from being a father is you.
Mm.
Right.
Right. Let that marinate a little bit. Yeah.
I learned from my father, no one can make you be a father.
True.
If you're not going to walk it out, you're just not going to walk it out.
Walk it out.
I don't care if God didn't make the person
Right.
that's going to make you be a father.
Right.
Absolutely agreement.
Right.
Right.
You doing it or not doing it is completely on you. And it really doesn't matter what anybody else does.
Right.
What the mother does, what the in-laws do, what the parents do, it doesn't matter. And the thing is, you may not get the results that you want. You may not get the results that you want, but you'll get. But the gratification comes in always being a father, and when you understand that, when you get that into your spirit and into your psyche,
right.
There is, as much as you long for the physical presence of your children, as much as you long for them to say, I love you, Dad, if you know, all of that, so as much as you long for all that stuff, that's an emotion.
Yeah.
But the gratification is that no one can stop you from being a father. The courts can't stop you from being a father. That's the reality. And I think most people miss that part. If someone could have told you that all the way back then, the experience would be different. But I just want to make that very, very clear that no one can stop you and no one can make you be a father.
And Mr. Reed, don't look at it as being attacked. This is what we're here for, because look, we don't have all the answers, but we've grown through some things in life and we've realized some things in life. Wait,
time out. Here's the thing. We don't know your story, so how can we attack?
We don't.
So that's not.
That's my man, and I don't know everything he's been through. But,
I don't. I have no idea.
I think you're dropping gems. That
he's laughing. But, the thing is, I tell people all the time, listen, this thing preached to me first, bro.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like it's kind of like when you're in church, they start saying stuff. You're like,
not only am I the president of the Hair Club for Men, I'm also a member.
Look, I got a saying: the hose that bring the water gets wet too.
Right.
So believe me, every single thing is like, ooh,
right.
Yeah. I mean, these are lessons,
Definitely.
And don't think children can't see.
Gotcha.
Right. Right. I was the same way. Right.
My daughter used to encourage me, Pastor. Like,
I was a single parent. When I met Lady, I was a single parent with 3 children, out there trying to make sure that I'm not my father.
Right. Wow.
I'm gonna be here.
Yeah. In LA, living in Los Angeles.
Living in Vida Loca. Not really.
Inglewood. I'm in Inglewood in a 2-bedroom apartment, and the cockroaches used to repel out of the cabinet. Right. But I'm daddy. I got my babies. I found and I'm doing my daughter's hair, and right. I was learning how to braid as their hair was growing and getting longer. Right. And I look back at those pictures and I'm like, man, you did your daughter dirty.
That's what I was gonna ask. I was like, how good of a job did you do? Because I can't braid that good, but I can make it lay down, and I can put some afro.
Hey, no, I got good. Now I will. Hey, bruh.
I look raggedy before my babies look raggedy.
I got good. I got real good at it. There was a time when folks used to offer to do my daughter's hair, and they'd be like, "Nope, my daddy do my hair." They were so proud of me doing their hair.
Damn. It just take me a little bit longer, but
yeah, man, yeah. But the thing is, even after that, when they got to that age where they were becoming young ladies, they went to live with their mom, and things went sideways. Right. So everything that I had poured into them, all of my effort and everything, started to get evaluated.
Gotcha.
It started to get judged. Wow. People started trying to tell me I should have did this or I should have did that and all that kind of stuff. And my children started to get their whole mindset had to get shifted to where they were as opposed to where they had been. They wanted to they wanted to do the opposite of everything that I had done.
Gotcha.
Right. Just to prove something, and again, it just immaturity. We just didn't understand that instead of embracing and being happy and proud of the fact that, we were working at this, it was, I can do it better than you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that created some friction. And so I went through a dark period with my daughters, and it took years, because the thing is, I never stopped being a father. It's just that all of my efforts became, or the view of them and the response from my efforts was just jacked up. It couldn't do anything right. And I'm saying, and I'm like, I had them. I had done this. I was doing it every day of their life. I was there at night. I was there in the morning. I was there for the cold. I was there for the measles. I was there for the chicken pox. I was, for all of that. And so I went through. I tell people now that I understand the space between the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Kind of like
silent years.
Yeah, kind of like O'Keefe's, kind of like his last statement. if you read that,
because okay, said I have a 25 and a soon to be 22-year-old. I'm working with my oldest. My 22-year-old was with a person whom I didn't treat fairly, so I'm reaping what I sowed. I also have 3 younger ones. Just wish I was the father to my oldest as I am to my younger ones.
And I've had to live with my oldest looking at the life that my younger ones have had.
And having a little resentment.
Right. Yeah. I've had to go through all of those.
It's maturity. And that's another thing you got to understand. Look, when you're a young father, you're not gonna have it all together. Shoot, you're not gonna have it all together when you're an older father. But you're mature and you've evolved and you've grown. So when you look at the life and the relationship I have with Bella and Ella, I wish all of my daughters knew that.
But here's the point I wanted to make though on that, because my first wife passed on. She went on to be with the Lord. She was saved, and thank God for that. And so what happened is my older children got older, and they started being more independent. And so there was no go-between. I used to have to go through the mother. And they got to an age where I didn't have to go through, and it took all the confusion out.
Wow.
Not saying that she was the confusion, but just the fact that we had our issues, and it's not like we didn't get along. We got along. It was just that me being a father, her being remarried, me being remarried, the standards that they live by, the standards I live by, and trying to figure out who they love more and all that. You deal with all of that stuff. Everybody wants to be the king or the queen or the hero or whatever. You want to be the first person that they call, and the reality is, be thankful that they can call either one of you. Right. But everybody want to be the first call. And so when we no longer had to go through when I no longer had to go through her, then I was able to start working on the healing. And that's the point I make about it. You never stop being a father, and no one can ever stop you from being a father. Your efforts they may try to pull away from your efforts and all that kind of stuff, but you never stop. Right. Because over time, and I look my daughter in the eyes today, and she knows I never stopped. I never stopped trying. And so one of the greatest things I ever had, the greatest experiences, most challenging experiences I ever had, was the day my daughter told me everything she felt.
Wow.
Right. And I say this to people: you don't know what kind of parent. Everybody think it's cool dressing like we twins. We wear the same clothes, and all that. We looking cool and we hang out and all that. You don't know what kind of parent you are until your children are old enough to tell you without fear.
Right.
That's when you know what kind of parenting you have done in your children's lives, when they get to the point where they're not worried about the consequence, because they can go to their own house.
Nice.
And so what I learned is, once you get all that out, it's a cleansing is what it is. And now you work on the healing, and I thank God, because what used to be a dark period, she upstairs now. because she's moving to
Right.
Georgia. She wants to be closer to where I am. She wants my influence in my grandchildren's lives and all of that stuff. And so, she wants to be closer to her sisters and all of that. My oldest is, she's got a family and stuff in Kentucky. But what I'm saying is, when you never ever stop, when you recognize that you can never stop being a father,
Right.
it doesn't matter how bad things were growing up. It doesn't matter the mistakes that you made, because at the end of the day, that healing happens when you never stop.
Right.
That's real.
That's true.
The Bible says all things work together.
Right. Yes, indeed. Hold on. Before we close out, I didn't do my ads. Tonight at 7:30, Pastor Brian McCoy, you get to hear some more nugget drops at Solomon's Temple Christian Ministries online service. So watch out for that. We'll be right back. And at 8:30, we got the Sisters of Legacy. So watch out for that. Hang tight. Bam. Oh, hold on. Let me my people's. All right. So make sure you guys check that out tonight. Solomon's Temple Christian Ministry online Bible study and Sisters of Legacy. Let's see. Let's drop some comments before we get out of here. As a fellow man, I am thankful you saw the beauty of being a father before it was too late. Thankfully, it isn't too late for you and your oldest man. That's towards Okini. He said, I have to do my part to repair both with my oldest and second oldest. My oldest, Imani, we are getting good. My second youngest, Tiana, needs to fix. I got you. And knowing you have work to do means you're halfway toward the bridge being built, so she will appreciate your efforts. You gotta catch the replay, definitely. So what I will say, you know, don't stop. You know, keep working with your kids. And if anybody's watching or listening to this and you've been estranged from your children, listen, they're gonna give you the business when you first come back in their life, but they want you in their life, regardless.
They do.
I don't care if they're 50, like just to see you, right? And my dad's been gone since 2001. You know, if some way he was just gone and he popped up, I would give him the business and then say, "Come on, let's go hang out because we got to talk." You know, trust me, they want you in their life. They mad, they hurt because they're like, "Yo, where you been?" But they'll forgive because they want you in their life. Doesn't matter. I'm telling you, doesn't matter.
And all you don't have to look any further than yourself to know that.
Right.
If we're real with ourselves,
definitely.
Like I said earlier, I said to myself, I wouldn't shed a tear if my daddy died. When my daddy died, I cried harder than anybody in the church.
Yeah.
There's nothing. That's who I am. That's where I came from.
Right.
He lives in me. There's always a part of me that wondered, why do I do this? Why do I act like this?
Right.
Man, I just want to be around you. I don't even know if we got anything to talk about, but let me just sit in the
Right.
same room with you.
Right.
I felt
right.
that way.
Yes, indeed.
So
And that's I love what you just said, man. I'll never shed a tear, but you cried like a baby. The reality is, when I found out my father passed, I didn't.
Wow.
I felt nothing, right? Because I
Right.
didn't know him.
Right. Right.
So
right.
that's the thing. We can feel horrible for crying.
say that again, sir, because I don't
Yeah.
think that went over people's head. I don't think they really got that.
That's the point that I want people to understand. Feeling something. In the military, what they tell you, as long as you can feel pain, you're still alive,
Right.
right? But if you feel nothing,
Right.
now that's deep. That's deep for the man to pass away and you feel nothing.
Right.
There's no emotion. And the only thing I felt was, man, okay, I got close. I had an opportunity. The closest I ever came to meeting him was being
Right.
on his doorstep. I was in town for 24 hours. I was on his doorstep and he was at work. And we had to leave. I knocked on the door. Whoever he was with at the time answered the door. Can I help you? Looking for William, looking for Tab. That's what they called him.
Right.
He's at work. Tell him his sons came by.
Wow.
That's as close as we ever got.
Wow.
Tell him his sons came by. I was on his porch, right,
Right.
in Memphis, Tennessee. And so, you fast forward and, and this was when I was like a senior in high school. And you fast forward
Right.
to, I think he passed in 96 or 97, somewhere around there. And I got the word that he passed and it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's a lost opportunity.
Right.
And I kept it moving.
Right.
Right. And you look back on it, it's like, man, now that's deep right there.
Right.
To feel
Right.
nothing, but I didn't know him. So there was nothing to feel because I didn't know him. And that's why I tell people I was married. I was 31, 32 years old at the time and still had a longing to know him. So to your point, Dwayne, children want to have a relationship with
Yes,
their
indeed.
parents.
Yes, indeed.
Don't get it twisted.
Yes,
Don't
indeed.
get it twisted.
It never goes away.
It never, ever. So be a parent, be a father,
Yes.
no matter how tough it is, because they don't ask to come into this world.
Right. Right.
Tupac said, I was given this world, I didn't make it.
Right.
Yeah, I think Terry dropped another Tupac nugget there.
He said, "My heart won't let me hurt for a stranger." Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's real.
And Cole said, Dwayne and Pastor dropping Major League Gems. Connection means everything. I couldn't live with anyone who claimed to love me and felt nothing because of my absence.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So be involved. Do whatever
Yes,
you can. Look, tie a note to a pigeon's foot and send it. I don't care what you have to do.
Right. And just like I said, take your lumps and move forward because they want you in their life.
Because the lumps are just a purging. That's all it is. They
Right.
got to get it out.
They gotta
That's
get it
why I
out.
said you have to be open.
Yeah,
Give them
gotta
an opportunity to get it out, get it off
Get
of
it out.
them because it drives them crazy having it inside. So be a father.
Right.
Love them.
And if you're one of those people who have an estranged relationship, let me give you a tip to help you. It ain't the only tip, but it's what I did.
Okay.
Right? These notebooks. Whenever I think about my daughters that lives in other houses, I got notebooks. I write them letters. I date it. I put a timestamp on it, and I just tell them what I'm feeling at that moment. Because one day they're gonna be like, "Well, Daddy, you remember when I was this age? Why didn't you do this?" For me, I can go back and I'm like, "Baby, I wasn't there, and I can't change that. But I absolutely missed and loved you and thought about you often." And it was like, "Well, how am I supposed to know that? Baby, look, these are the letters that I wrote for you."
Right.
And I'm gonna compile a book out. I don't think it's gonna be a public thing, or I might publish it and not put any type of marketing scheme on it whatsoever. And it's gonna be there so they can see that in 2010, when they were 8, 9,
Right.
and they were feeling alone, that
Right.
I was feeling the same thing that they felt, and I wanted to reach out, and I put it on paper. It's something like Pastor just said. He didn't shed a tear because he didn't know him.
Right.
If Pastor would have got some of those letters from a pop, I'm pretty sure that would have changed.
Right.
Yeah, I got my revelation. I got a Buzz Lightyear revelation from my son. Right? Did I tell you? Did I ever share that with you guys?
I didn't hear about it.
He was
I
about.
didn't hear this one either.
He was like he might have been 3 or 4, and we were walking into the store, and I was like that. I used to think I was He-Man. I used to cut my sleeves off my shirts, and he'd be like, "Dad, cut my sleeves off too." So I cut his sleeves off. I turned my hat around back. He's like, "Dad, can I turn my hat around back?" He turned his hat around back. It's back when he was walking. And so we were walking in this store, and I looked down at him. I'm like, "Man, I love you, man." He's like, "I love you too, Dad." I said, "Yeah, but I love you more." He said, "I love you more than you love me." I said, "No, I love you more than the whole world." He said, "I love you more than the whole universe." I said, "I love you more than the whole galaxy." He said, "I love you more than all the galaxies combined together." I said, "I love you infinity." And he said, "I love you infinity and beyond." Like, you won. He was like 3 or 4 years old, man.
Wow.
And he was not going to stop, right? And
Right.
so that to me
Right.
was the epitome of fatherhood. That with him, and then my daughter saying, "No, my daddy do my hair."
Wow.
Those are the things that I'll cherish. That's the
Yeah.
stuff I take to the grave.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, guys. Thank you guys for sharing. Thank you guys for being transparent. I know. Thank you guys for expressing yourselves. This is what this broadcast is about. Talking about our journeys, talking about fatherhood. Of course, we're gonna always revisit this one because it's important. It's important, and I want to encourage other dads, other would-be dads. Being a father is very important. And like we said, it's never too late. So if you are apart, estranged, doesn't matter. Get back in their life because they want you there, regardless of how angry they may act. It's a little upset. You weren't around. You're gonna have to feel it, but just deal with it and move forward. Cole said, "Gentlemen, thank you for showing us all the most masculine thing you can be, is vulnerable and full of love for your family. Appreciate you." He also said, "You want to know how much I love my father. I cry like a baby when I think of his passing now, and he's still alive." Right.
If you can't laugh or think, if you can't have a crazy laugh or a crazy ugly cry when you think about the relationship between you and your children, you and your father, then you need to strengthen that relationship.
Right. Appreciate you, V. All right, guys. So we appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Maybe Hot Topic. What's tomorrow? Wednesday. Hot Topic Wednesday. We're gonna get into some stuff. So make sure you stay tuned. And if you've not, and I've not put it up today, having issues, but I think I'll have it fixed by tomorrow. But join our community. Text brothers to 84576. Join our community. Text brothers to 84576 and get more of this amazing conversation. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel. Always know that we love you. God loves you more. What's up?
Trademark that. I ain't never heard that before. Amazing.
Oh, email.
Amazing. Look, you might want to trademark that.
Right. So we look forward to seeing you guys. Make sure you stay safe. Keep your 6 feet. And don't cough on anybody. All right. So we'll see you in the morning. Peace out.
I didn't want to catch that. Good morning. Welcome to another edition. Good morning.